Good evening, Provo Central Neighborhood District. Welcome to our meeting tonight. My name is Daniel Friend. For the last year, it has been my privilege to be the chair of this neighborhood district. That ends tonight. Thanks. No, the rules say that you can only be the chair of a neighborhood district for 1 year and you can't do it the next year. So I am term limited and we will be electing a new chair later tonight. Before we start though, just announce a few items that are coming up. First, we will have the announcement of 2 traffic signal projects by our city traffic manager, Vern Keeslar. And after he is done, Emergency Manager Chris Blinzinger will speak to us about the April 16th emergency drill and the 2026 Neighborhood Preparedness class. And after that, we will have Central District Code Enforcement Officer Abinadi Borja update us on the 800 East Center Street situation and duties of owners and renters. We'll go to that point for now. If you haven't yet gotten some food, go ahead and get it. What there is what there is, and once it's gone, it's gone. Thanks for being here.
Good evening. My name is Vern Keeslar, and we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of traffic signals being proposed. One is a new one is a replacement. So we'll start with the 700 East, 800 North traffic signal location first. It is located where the red dot is. Currently, there's just a one-legged stop sign there. So the northbound and southbound is a free movement. And of course, it's also the BRT route coming from 90 East down to campus and then over to 7th North. You can see the functional classification of those streets. 700 East is a collector street, and 800 North is a minor arterial street. So we took a look at the satisfying of the warrants from the MUTCD, which is the Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And you'll see that 3 of the warrants were satisfied and 3 were not. All we need is 1 to justify a traffic signal. We generally like to have 2 or 3, like this one has, to put in a traffic signal. You'll see that the outcomes of some of those didn't meet the requirement, while others met the requirement. School children, I want to point out there's a lot of college students that cross at this intersection, but they're not designated as slow children. Okay, let's talk about crash data. So typically I look at 3 years of crash data, but when I'm looking at a traffic signal or I'm looking at pedestrian crosses, I usually look at 5 years of crash data. In the 5 years, we've had 3 reported crashes. I want to specify that. 1 in 20, 1 in 21, and 1 in 22. 2 of them were intersection related. 1 involved a pedestrian and 1 involved a bicycle. So crashes vary. We did have 1 suspected minor injury, 1 possible injury, and then 1 no injury, property damage only. You can see the manner of collision there. 2 vehicles were the ones that were involved with the pedestrian and the bicycle, and then there's 1 sideswipe in the same direction. Roadway service, weather, and light conditions, I always pay attention to, especially when it looks at the light condition. 3 dry, 3 clear, 2 cloudy, 2 daylight, 1 at night. Here's where the crashes took place. You see 2 right there on 8 North, right more the 7th East intersection, and then 1 a little bit south of the intersection. Here's what we plan on doing. We plan on putting left turns into this as well. Going northbound and southbound, and it will be a full traffic signal. We will pilot for northbound, southbound to allow for BRT to stay on schedule. And they were a little bit concerned about instituting another possible delay. Right now they have free flow movement through that intersection. We are also providing some lights at this particular intersection. We'll either put them on top. We have a lot of utilities in the area, a lot of power lines. So if we can't put it on top, we'll put it underneath the arm mast and then shine right down on the crosswalk. So that's one thing that we're trying to do is light up over crosswalks. So just in summary, 3 of the 6 applicable warrants were satisfied. 3 crashes in 5 years. So it's not warranted through a crash rate. We did look at a roundabout, but because the BRT buses that go through there quite frequently, and also the utilities with the big power pole on the southeast corner, it was something that was too expensive to implement. Before we move on to the second traffic signal, are there any questions on this one? And we need a microphone because the people at home want to hear your question. And
can hear. We have ceiling mics now.
Ceiling mics, okay.
So they can hear.
Okay, great. Quick question. There is a pedestrian walkway just north of the 820 crossing. Is anything changing with that pedestrian crossing with this light going in?
No, nothing will be changing with that. We put up recently, I think about a year ago, we put up additional signage for that crosswalk. If I had it my way, I would probably buy out a couple of businesses to straighten out 800 north of that road, but I don't have that much budget. Any other questions on this particular one before we move on to the next one? Okay, great. Let's move on to the next one. This one is the 500 North Freedom Boulevard intersection. This one is right by the rec center. Everybody's probably pretty familiar with the rec center here. We already have a traffic signal there, but it's in need of protected left turns. Anybody disagree with that?
No.
Right. We have protected left turns. So functional classification of 500 North is a minor arterial. Functional classification of Freedom is an arterial 3. So we have 2 major streets coming together with lots of high volume, east-west traffic, north-south traffic. Looking at crash information, we've had 19 reported crashes. I didn't even do a map because it's the entire intersection. Okay, 19 reported crashes there in the last 3 years. Last 3 years. So you can see 5 were distracted driving, a couple of pedestrians, 1 DUI, motorcycle, bicyclist. Injuries were to the point where we had 2 suspected serious injuries. We get alarmed when we have serious injuries. Manner of collision, 9 of them were angle. So that tells me right there that we need the protected left turns. Roadway surface, you can kind of see most of these are dry, clear, weathered, and during the daylight for the most part. Oh no, this one was dark. So that tells me we need to light this intersection better. So what we've done is we are going to do these improvements. New signal hole, new mast arms, new signal heads, protected left turn arrows in all 4 directions, new ADA ramps on the northeast and northwest corners. We get to have new lighting on top, and where I can't put the lighting on top, I'll put it underneath the mast arms to provide more light at the intersection and crosswalks. This is kind of cool. We're implementing a new left turn yield in flashing, and then this is the first one we're doing in Provo. It's kind of a pilot project. We got a grant to put in this LED lighted turning vehicle movement. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic at this intersection. We want all the drivers to be aware when they're making the right, even though they're looking left, they need to look right again and make sure that there are no pedestrians in the crosswalks. So that'll be a new LED turning lane pedestrian indicator in all 4 directions. New pavement marking arrows were needed, and then my favorite one, new accessible pedestrian signals with audible and touchless actuators. So you can just wave in front of it and it will turn. Okay. So this is what the intersection will look like. We will make sure that we have the protected left turns in all 4 directions. It will take us a couple months to get that right. And it will take us maybe even a little longer because when the students come back, we have noticeably more traffic. And so be patient with us if we time this signal. You're gonna say, ah, I gotta protect the left, I have to wait this whole signal and no one's coming because it's 11 o'clock at night. Give me time and we'll work that out. But I'm gonna start probably at 24/7 and then I'm gonna cut it back to AM, PM, and noon hours and stuff like that. So just be patient with that protected left turn. And then we do have a couple locations where here's the new ADA ramps that we're putting in on both the northeast and northwest corners. And then we'll have lighting underneath the mast iron if there is light on the corner. So, any questions on this one? Yes.
It said audible and touchless. What does it mean by audible? Are you yelling at it?
It yells at you.
It's for our hearing impaired, so our visually impaired, so it will tell you walk across whatever the name of the street is. We'll program it in such a way that it will actually tell you walk across the street or walk across the north. So it will be beneficial that way. Now, I will tell you, these are brand new. They have a couple little hiccups in them once in a while. But we're gonna find out, they are expensive little buggers. It cost me $16,000 just to do those ped buttons, because there are 80 ped buttons at an intersection. And so we're gonna be doing them for $16,000. Now, in comparison to what New York has to pay at $62,000, I think we're probably in pretty good shape, but it will take me 5 full years with all the traffic signals that we have in Provo to implement the new audible and waveless or touchless pedestrian buttons. Yeah.
So on those buttons, just a few things. I don't know what it would take to make these changes. First off, they are nice. But sometimes they are pretty loud. So like if I'm biking, I'll have my hand, I'll be resting against the pole, waiting to go. And since the speaker is right there, and it's probably set so it's audible over traffic, in some intersections, it's kind of deafening.
They're meant to be loud.
Which is, yes, I know it needs to be audible. I was wondering if perhaps there is some way to make it not down.
I don't even know if I have the ability to turn that up or down. I'll have to check on that one. I just don't know. They are fairly loud, and sometimes people wonder about how far that tips out. So we usually set them for about 2 feet. So you can wave something around a foot away, and you're going to get that actuator in the grip and recognize there's a battery there. Yep.
And then on the motion aspect, I haven't noticed this in Provo that I can recall, but at some in Orem, like if you wave at it again, it'll yell at you to wait. Which gets annoying again if you're standing right there. It just keeps randomly yelling at you.
Wait, I like it. It does say wait, and it will tell you wait in a very commanding voice.
Yes, it does. It's just if it keeps doing that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything like you put on your iPhone where you have a British accent or an Australian accent. I don't think I have that capability on these.
No, the tone's fine.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you for your time. Thanks for volunteering. Thanks for being here and hearing about your community. Appreciate Daniel's last year. Thanks for serving. It's always tough to be chair. Appreciate your good work, and who's next? All right. Get out of here in time.
Hey, Vern's a study. There was lots of important stuff. My name is Chris Blinzinger. I'm here tonight to talk about our city-wide exercise for the Great Shakeout this year. We have a new initiative called Provo Prepared. As the emergency manager, I have kind of two functions, the community outreach, preparing community, and for the city, continuity of operations, emergency operations plans, emergency operations manager, stuff like that. So we want to focus this on the outward community grassroots emergency communication exercise. What we hope to have, this is going to be April 16th, as part of the statewide shakeout exercise. Block captains, these are somebody that you designate in your neighborhood on your block to have several homes. We have neighborhood coordination centers. We have worked closely with our faith-based partners, LDS Church, and neighborhood coordination center kind of aligned with a ward building. And they go to the area coordination center, which really aligned with a stake building. We're calling it an area. We want this to be as inclusive as we can. And then each district has a frequency and they will call into our emergency operations center. Our objective here is to see how many people we can make contact with in a 2-hour period on the system. We're not looking for anything else. Knock on the door. Hey, you guys, I'm so-and-so. How many people you got? I got 3. Great. Write it down and move to the next house. We're not doing anything except gathering numbers to see. We're trying to create this muscle memory for when we have a real emergency. We're going to give you important information from our community members. And we have a plan to get that right into our emergency operations center so that we can understand what's going on in the community. Police and fire are largely outnumbered, about 1,000 to 1 residents to emergency responders. So we really need that information coming up to the emergency operations center. The second reason we do this is to get you an opportunity to get to know your neighbors, get organized in your neighborhood. And I believe that we are put on this planet to take care of each other. This is a way we can do that, checking on each other. Not very often, but occasionally, our emergency responders get called out to check on someone who hasn't been seen for 2 weeks. We go, we enter the home, we find a terrible situation. What happened if that person was checked on? What happened if that person had a friend in the neighborhood who was checking on them or knew there was something going on? So this gives us an opportunity to reach out, get to know our neighbors, and for us to practice that muscle memory, to get information into the city. Also, we have our monthly community preparedness class. Tomorrow, it's at the Orem Emergency Operations Center. We're not going to do active shooter. We're going to do active shooter training. This is a run, hide, fight training. It's in their EOC. Next month, it will be back in Provo for a few months. Orem is our sister city, so we kind of go back and forth to maximize our coverage and being a partner and doing those things together. Are there any questions for me? Yes.
What constitutes a block?
A neighborhood, 3 to 5 houses, 7 houses. What is on your street?
Asking because I live in a condo complex. And if you define block as like just the area between streets, there's 30 doors.
Sure.
And so kind of trying to figure out how you're going to subdivide places like that, apartment buildings, things of that nature.
An apartment is probably a block, that number of homes. And we don't want to overburden anybody with having to check 100, knock 100 doors. An apartment is probably a block, but that's something that you can organize in your own neighborhood. One person, a block captain, can be responsible maybe for checking on up to 10 homes, 5 to 10, whatever it looks like in your neighborhood. Anything else? You are a central district. We are working with our Provo auxiliary communication team volunteers who are ham radio operators. And for the central district, we've got frequency 439.900. And that's the frequency which you will be calling into your area coordination center. Malia.
I have a Zoom question.
Yes.
2, actually. The first one, are we able to attend the trainings as we're 82 and 32, or do we need to start from the beginning of the whole course? Are these ongoing? Because I've never been to one before, can I just start attending?
I'm assuming this is to the community preparedness meetings?
Yes.
Yes, these are just single trainings. They are not all connected. They are all connected in terms of preparedness, but there's not a beginning and an end. These are ongoing. We do them every month except July and December. And we get new topics every year that we talk about preparedness, winter preparedness. You're the help until the help arrives. We did fire extinguisher last month. So things like that that are independent. And we'd love to have you just show up. We usually have between 30 and 50 people. I've had as many as close to 100 before. And I've really realized that it depends on what's going on in the country, gets people to attend, more people attend. I've had probably 20 people sign up to register for our ham radio program in the last 4 weeks. Yes.
Okay, second question. Is there a certification that we receive for the classes?
No certification. No. We don't do certificates. This is just come and learn something, learn a practical application of preparedness. Preparedness is not something that you can buy and put in a trailer. It's not something that you get in one step. Preparedness is the way you live your life. And we want to give people information and tools of how to do that. Keep a little water, store a little water, have a go kit, sign up for emergency alerts. There's lots of things that you can do to help yourself and your family be prepared. Anything else? Thank you for your time. And who's next?
Abinadi's next too.
Until I have the 824 signal.
This is the height,
Good morning. So, yes, glad some people left. So I have two topics to discuss. Here, Maeser and Joaquin neighborhood are interested a little bit more than the rest of the neighborhoods, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. But the first subject that I wanted to talk about is the property on 800 East and Center Street. Before I get to it, does anyone have any questions?
Which corner? Because that's Memorial Park is two of them.
South. So the apartment complex. Yes. I know there's been complaints on the Memorial Park as far as garbage is concerned, and we've passed that on to the right department to handle that. So I don't know if you have any questions for Memorial Park?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So the business Art Do, they have graduates that go to this apartment complex. There's about 16 units. It's already been approved by the city as far as the rental is concerned. So city-wise, we're good. But I've received complaints in the last few months concerning just the people that live there. The people that live there are graduates from Art Do. I forget what they do as far as the name, but what they do as far as a company is that they have people that go through rehab and are just recovering from all types of addictions. And they go there to live. They receive the help that they need to receive, and they're living there. So that being said, when I went to their address earlier today, they have an office in the Sunset neighborhood, I believe, on 1020 South. And they mentioned that the people that go there, they haven't done any major crimes. They haven't violated anything major. There's no one on the sex offenders list. So all you're getting are just normal people. People that just are recovering from all sorts of addictions. They always have staff on site, and the only thing that you'll really see is just people in the back smoking a cigarette or something like that. And so if you have any questions on that, if you see anything that I haven't said right now, please come and talk to me. My card's on that table, and you're more than welcome to call me. I have contact information from the one in charge as well. His name is True. You're more than welcome to call or email him, and he'd be happy to sit with any one of you that has questions on that. Having said that, do you have any questions on this? Okay. Perfect. So I'll move on. This subject here is a subject that I'm very interested in just because half of the district are rentals, if not more than half, right? And the central district deals a lot with rentals more than any other district in the city. It's a beautiful thing, and at the same time, you know, things happen. So the type of rentals, all of these properties here are photos that I got from Provo City. None of these properties are outside of the city. They're all within the city. You should recognize some of these. This one, for example. You should recognize this one's up north in the river bottoms area. I think that one is as well. And then you have this one's in Lakeview North, for example, on Geneva Road, and then you have just homes. So you have all types of occupancy, whether it's a single family dwelling, you have townhomes, condos, apartments, etc. Who rents in Provo? Let me ask you, who's a renter here? Who's a tenant? Oh, more people than I thought. Awesome. Who's a homeowner? So half and half. That's beautiful. So who rents in Provo? I'm a renter, by the way. I rent. Families, friends, students, teachers, roommates, working class, upper class, singles, everyone. We have everyone renting in Provo. Who doesn't like living here? Raise your hand. Trick question. Okay, let's move on. The number of rentals in Provo, so I did a little bit of research. There's roughly 35 to 3,700 units in Provo that are owner or tenant occupied. Of those units, this research was done recently from customer service. They do this and they give it to city council every single quarter. So close to 17,000 are licensed. We know for a fact, or I know for a fact, that not every rental is licensed, and that's part of my responsibility is to figure out which ones are not. We know there are properties that don't have a rental dwelling license, and either they apply or we catch them, and then they apply, okay? Looking for the right place. Okay, this goes to the tenants here, including myself. Know the area you will rent. It is very important. If you're a student, if you're going to come here to study at BYU, or if you're going more to the west side because you're studying at UVU, know where you're going to rent, because that will affect your lifestyle during those next couple of years. Make sure the unit fits your needs for the immediate future, okay? Do you want to live with roommates? Do you want to live by yourself? Get to know that. Do an inspection before signing the lease. I've done thousands of inspections. I've been a code compliance officer for the last 6 years, so I've done thousands of inspections, from the best of the best to the worst of the worst. And it is very important to know what you're getting into. Before I continue, do you have any questions? Yes.
What is an inspection and how do we do it? I've never heard of it before.
I've only heard of it in terms of like buying a home and
Right.
getting a home inspector to come in. What's the process as a renter?
As a renter, you just walk in and you start pulling out your phone. Where's mine?
Okay. Okay,
Right.
so we do inspections.
You do your own inspection. You pull out your phone. If you see there's a crack on this screen, you're gonna take a picture of it, right?
Okay.
You're gonna document everything that you're wanting to do. If you're not sure, you can always request someone else. Yes.
Is there some sort of a tool that, or a list or something that you could provide to renters to say, here's some things to look for, check the, check for cracks, or check for, does the fridge work, does the water run, does the, or the trips, or, does it come out hot and cold? Something you could give maybe to students when they're moving in, say, hey, you've never done a home inspection before, you've never done a rental inspection.
That's a great question. Yes, so we do have a list that we check for. There are minimum health and safety inspection lists that our chief building official has approved. It's very minimal.
Habitability.
Correct. And so I'm happy to provide that information to anyone that requests that. It's under Provo City Code 6.26. That's the chapter that we look at. The subsection is 100 to be specific. But yeah, we go through that list. So when I'm doing an inspection, when someone requests it, I check for those things. So yes, doing an inspection before signing the lease. Any other questions before I move on? I had a couple other hands. I'll go here and then I'll go over there.
In addition to that, there's a way for them to know if the unit is actually licensed. So that there's not some sort of problem mid-semester, like, because can they search that on the internet or?
Two ways, yes. The first way is on the internet, provo.gov/portal under property search. If you input any property, the rental dwelling license, if it's there, it will say. If it's not, call us and we can tell you. I'll go Malia and then I'll go you.
There's also a map online. So if you don't want to, if the city view portal, like you don't know the exact address or the exact parcel number or something, you can look on, there's a map on maps.portal of rental housing.
Yes, yes.
That was the question online. How do we know the property we are renting is licensed? So.
Okay,
Good.
perfect. So I'll move on. Document everything for concerns and complaints. Very, very important. As a renter, please have everything in writing. When I go into properties, when I get complaints from tenants, they always say, well, the property manager or the owner, they're not fixing this or they're not doing that. Or the other thing that I get every time, I want to get out of my lease. I can't help you getting out of your lease. And we'll touch that subject in a minute, but document everything. Take pictures, take photos, text, email the property manager, the landlord, whoever you're dealing with. Let them know, hey, I have an issue. Read and review the lease before signing. So this is an order specifically for a reason, because this is the last thing you'll do. When you get the lease, you want to make sure that everything fits your needs, and then you sign. You make that binding agreement with the landlord. Keep the premises clean and sanitary, please. Please. Like I said, I walked into thousands and thousands of units. The best units are the ones that the tenants keep clean and sanitary. They have the best relationship with the owners because they keep their units sanitary and clean, and the properties last a long time. Report all issues to the owner and property manager. If you think they're insignificant, they are not. At the end of the day, the owners, and you guys can testify, it's your life investment. So whatever business that you have going on, those are the properties you want them to last for a lifetime. And if you have the right tenants, they'll take care of them for you. Follow all local, state, and federal laws, rules, and regulations. That's why I'm here. And then be neighborly. So it's been mentioned with activities that we have Chris left. Reach out to your neighbors, to them, get to know them. They have questions, they have concerns, they need help. If you're neighborly and if you see something and you help them out, things get resolved before I even step in. Are there any questions before I move on? Yes.
Says they can't complain about asbestos or mold. Is that legal?
I can't answer any legal questions. So I can give you information on that afterwards, but.
Is that normal to include on a lease?
So I've seen a lot of different things on leases. I've signed a lot of leases myself, but like I said, I can't address a lot of issues on that, so I apologize. But I can address mold. So if they call me and they want me to inspect, I can address that because that's a sanitation type of issue that's under Title VII that I can enforce. If that makes sense. Okay.
Good asbestos tile on their bottom floor.
It depends. If they have any questions and they want me to inspect, I'd be happy to. So, any other questions? Okay. Owners. Utah is a owner-friendly state, so the owners have more of a say than the tenants do, fortunately and unfortunately, just depending on your situation. Making sure your property is ready to lease. Whenever a tenant moves out and a new tenant moves in, please make sure the property is ready to lease. Get to know the new tenants that move in. When I've dealt with owners, I can tell which owners care and which owners don't care. Because not only do I walk in and no matter what the situation is, the owners say, oh, hello, Bob, how are you doing today? How's your family? Your kid's still going to school? Is he still in college? It is great to see that relationship. And I'm not saying do that to your tenants. What I'm saying is that those that do, their properties last longer. It's very simple as that. So building the rapport, it goes to that point number 2. Number 4 is inspect your property. Please, inspect your property. I did an inspection about a month ago where the owner did not go into their property for the last 15 years, and there were so many issues with that unit. Please do routine inspections on your property, whether it's maintenance, whether it's to check for cleanliness. A lot of owners, a lot of property managers do it. Just inspect your property. Listen to your tenants' concerns, complaints, and follow through with repairs. That's why I get called, because either property managers or owners, they don't step in, and I get called for this specific reason. So please make sure if you're getting that, just follow with them in a timely manner. And then your tenants will take care of you if you take care of them. It's 100%. The best homes in the city, built in the 1890s, built in 2025, doesn't matter. Your tenant will take care of you if you take care of them. So I've seen it, and I can attest that that's true. Any questions? Yes.
Sorry, this is outside your purview. Does Provo or like Utah County or Utah have like any stipulations on how many properties a property manager can own or be over?
I don't know of any rules overseeing that. So Redstone Residential, they're a nationwide company, for example. They have an office on Canyon Road. They oversee Liberty Square, Liberty on 9th, those 400 multiple units.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no rules that I've seen.
78 apartments I lived in college are now owned by like their one.
Yeah, there's no rules that I've seen that dictate you can only have so many.
Who would we talk to about that? Is that city council? Is that anything like where does that fall into?
State law.
Legislature? Is that state? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Outside my pay grade. I'm sorry.
Oh, for sure. That's what I meant.
Okay, any other questions? Beautiful. Provo City, this is where I'm in. I step in. Owners are required to obtain a rental dwelling license. So the questions that were asked earlier, how do I know? Online, or you can call us. Inspections are required as part of the process. Like I've said, I've done thousands of inspections. So we check for minimum health and safety inspections, egress windows, smoke detectors, GFCI outlets, leaky faucets, handrails if they're applicable, etc. We also do health and safety inspections upon request by owners or tenants. Usually the tenants are the ones that call. And then we reach out to the responsible party, so that way the issues are taken care of. So for example, if there's mold and we see it, then we say, hey, can you take care of this? Make sure it's properly taken care of, and then just let me know when I can come back and re-inspect. So we do this on a daily basis. Do you have any questions as far as Provo City? My job to do these type of inspections. Okay. Leases, very important. It's important to know that we cannot get you out of your lease. That is between you and your landlord property manager. If the owner does not obtain a rental dwelling license, if they're in violation of any code or law, or if other things are going on, the lease that's signed by the tenant and owner representative is independent of whatever is going on between the owner and us. We cannot give any legal advice. So I mentioned, most of the tenants that call me, they're wanting to get out of their lease. They've just been going through a lot, and this is the last thing that they want to go through. So whether they're students, whether they've been here a long time, doesn't matter. We can't get anyone out of any leases. We can give them the means and understanding of if something's wrong, or I can't help them at all. I will tell them to their face. But getting out of the lease is not one of those things, unfortunately. Do you have any questions? Okay. And then our response, reach out to the owner or property manager first for maintenance requests. Sometimes people call us and say, hey, can you inspect it and everything? And they've never talked to their property owner or property manager first. So reach out to them first. That will let them know that there's something wrong with the property. And then This is my phone number, 801-852-6421 for questions or concerns. I'd be happy to do those inspections. Owners can grant us access to the entire property, but tenants can only grant the areas that they occupy. So if it's a 3-bedroom and there's 3 roommates, I'm only gonna access your bedroom because of your space. I can't access the other 2 units. So it's important, if someone has a complaint, everyone complains. Or the owners, they call us and say, hey, please do the inspection. That's the city's response. Any questions? And then here are the links. The first 3 links are state links, and then this is Provo City Code link. The difference is owner's responsibilities, tenant's responsibility, and then for us. That's all I have, but before I go, I'm gonna put this in the back. This is just a summary of this presentation. Any questions? Yes.
So like, I think that there's kind of some incentive for some tenants to not report issues with their dwelling because there's limited rentals available if they have to be relocated or like a mold issue or something like that. Are there any things that the city will do like to help tenants in that situation if they're displaced because it fails an inspection that they initiated?
Which does happen when a tenant complains to us. There may be some sort of retaliation, which in that instance, that's what it sounds like. When I had a case earlier this week where a tenant's being evicted because they reported something to us. Don't ever feel, as a tenant, don't ever feel that you cannot report to us or you cannot say, hey, this is what's going on and this is what's happening. Because at the end of the day, with that contract, you still have the ability to seek legal advice and be able to obtain that counsel and go through that if you have to. Unfortunately, if you do get kicked out or you do get released from your release early, you'd have to go through that. But there are other places. I see rentals all the time. There's signs of rentals all the time in Provo, especially in Joaquin, where those signs just are on each city block. So, yeah.
I actually have a question about that.
Yes.
Is there a department or a person that you direct people to when they do have those kinds of questions that like fall under the legal? Like, do we have anything at the city that's like specifically for tenant protection law or like legal services when there's those kinds of?
Yeah, so I personally recommend Timp Legal Center. That's in Utah County on Tuesday nights from 5 to 8. They offer free legal advice. So they're either students graduating and then being supervised by legal counselors, or BYU does it too on Thursday nights.
But Utah County and Provo do not have any specific renter protection department person,
No.
anyone?
Yeah, no, the best protection would be us, as far as we come in and inspect and figure out what's going on. Yes.
Is there, if a department, if a tenant reports the department as being not meeting habitability standards, right? And you come in and inspect and say, oh yeah, that's a problem. Tenant gets kicked out. What prevents the landlord from just re-renting the apartment?
Our inspection will prevent that. If we find that they are at fault with certain things, they have to meet those minimum qualifications. But there are sometimes things that even though they meet our qualifications, they don't meet the tenants. And that's where the legal dispute comes in, where we don't get involved.
But if a tenant gets evicted, you continue with the inspection and that they've.
Until we find them compliant, yes, we will continue inspecting the property. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Abinadi. Very important information for so many people here. As someone who once upon a time did get evicted in the middle of a semester, I feel that. So Also just if you ever do have an important phone conversation with someone in these situations, send a text or email afterwards, say, as we discussed, and then summarize the thing. Just gonna throw that out there. All right, next, we're going to have a recap of the planning commission hearing on the Provo Town Center Mall redevelopment by planning supervisor Ardmore. Just to manage some expectations as he's coming up to the front. The plan that was presented to the planning commission was the same plan that was discussed at length in our neighborhood district meeting. The only changes they had made were small things like adding a bike lane here or a sidewalk there. And there is still a possibility of more changes, as Aaron's going to tell us about here in a minute. But by and large, what was discussed here was discussed there. So if you have questions about what happened at the planning commission, I'm sure Eric would be happy to answer them. He is not the developer. He is not going to be able to answer questions about how they are going to implement planning commission feedback. He is not going to be able to tell you what the developers are planning to do next. That's beyond his abilities, but he can tell you what happened at the planning commission meeting, and I was there too, so we'll, between the two of us, we'll get it right.
Thank you. Like you mentioned, some of you might have been at the hearing. So just for a quick recap on each item. So there are 4 items presented from the mall developers, Brixton and Peg. Brixton is the owners of the mall. Peg is the developer for the residential pieces. So there's 4 applications that they went through. The first one was the ordinance text amendments to the ITOD zone, the interim transit oriented development zone. There's a number of changes that they were proposing there. The planning commission recommended denial on those changes, and they actually went one by one through each change to identify whether they supported that specific change or whether they thought that should be left alone or adjusted. So that recommendation will now go to the city council. The next one they went through was the general plan amendment. So the whole area is general plan for commercial. So their project area, they're requesting a general plan map amendment to go to transit oriented development designation, the TOD designation, which is kind of a first step to support the rezone that they're asking for. The planning commission recommended approval on that item to the city council. The rezone from the SC3, the shopping center commercial zone, and the RM zone, that's the mobile home park zone on Shady Acres. Those are proposed to go to the ITOD zone that they're attempting to amend. On that one, the planning commission recommended approval on the zone change with the caveat. They recommended to the city council that the Shady Acres portion of the redevelopment plan is not included in the ITOD zone, but that they use a different residential zone that would make that development still be able to happen, but kind of separate that from the apartments that you see just north of the mall. And then the final item was the concept plan. The concept plan is what you're seeing right now. The planning commission continued that because of the changes that they recommended in the text amendments, and not knowing what the city council is going to do with all these legislative items. They felt it best to continue the concept plan to see what happens, and then they can revisit that. That's all I had planned to present, but I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
So the one that's part up there at the top.
Yes.
Can you just explain a little more the reasoning and the?
Yeah, the planning commission thought that a lot of the text amendments that were proposed were to help that townhome portion of the project happen. They thought it might be better to pull that out of the ITOD zone. That way you don't have to change that zone as much, and you could likely get a more dense product in there if the applicant chose to do that. And that would also provide an opportunity to have those townhomes have their own amenities, which was another big talking point.
Sorry, I just earlier, but what's the difference between the Todd and ITOD?
So yeah, it's confusing. The TOD, the transit oriented development, that's a general plan designation. So the ITOD zone is the actual zone standards. So the general plan kind of tells you what type of development should happen there in the zones. This is the rules. Anything else? All right. Well, please feel free to call or email anytime to answer questions about this or any other questions. Yes.
It's just an advertisement. They'll be at the work meeting next week for city council, so on the 24th. They'll be in the hall and discussing it. There won't be any votes. It won't be at the night meeting, just in the work meeting for discussion with the council. And then on April 14th, it's scheduled for a city council night meeting, so that's where the voting will be.
Possibly.
Maybe, I don't know, but it will at least be on Tuesday in the work meeting for council discussion, and you can come in person to listen to that, or it will be broadcast on YouTube. So you can watch it live or later, but no votes on Tuesday, just discussion.
What's
gonna do a treasure hunt?
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, now we'll move on to the exciting part of the meeting where I no longer get to be, I get to have a job that sounds like furniture. I will turn the time over to Rachel to get that started.
Okay, so just so you understand how it works. So there's a chair position, 2 vice chairs and a secretary. And those are from the board members. So the people that you see up front, they're the ones that are allowed to run. It's just like planning commission or board of adjustment where the board members are the chair or something. Yeah. So kind of board, I'm kind of wondering how you want to do this. I'm not even sure who wants to run because no one has told me they want to run. It might be a game of not it. And so is there anyone that wants to run for chair?
Can't do it. Sorry. Remind me, this is just a 1-year term, correct?
Yes, it is a 1-year term.
And your biggest thing that you do, if having done this in the past, you're the one who conducts the meeting in your chair, and you help coordinate the agenda as well. You communicate with the rest of the board to help come to some kind of consensus about what kind of things we will be actually doing. That is particularly important at this point because we now have new direction that we do not have open comment at the end. Right. So people can be bringing information, and then the executive board needs to decide what's on the agenda, and the chair is the one who helps make sure that discussion happens and then reports back to Rachel Green in a timely manner, hopefully, to be able to have the agenda go out so that it can be publicly noticed.
Right, yes. So it's mostly conducting the meetings. You're the final decision on the food and the agenda. And also it's up to you to go to the planning commission and city council meetings to give the report. But you can also give that duty to your vice chairs or a neighborhood representative.
Vice chairs basically fill in for the chair if the chair can't make it, which actually happened to me a lot when I was chair. Unknown, previously disclosed or known family events that happened. So.
Right. And then secretary keeps track of the votes at the meeting. They're kind of my communication. I do a lot of communication with the secretary. The minutes are, we use an AI program to type out the minutes. So the secretary just needs to review them and approve them. You don't have to write the minutes anymore. So it's easier. So do we have anyone that wants to run for chair or vice chairs or secretary?
There is a nomination from Zoom.
I'd like to nominate Tom Spencer for chair.
And then there's a nomination for Britton for chair.
Really? Okay.
Need a second? Second that for Britain.
Okay. Sure.
Will someone second Tom Spencer?
I'll second Tom Spencer. Serves you right.
I'm also fine being the vice chair if Tom would like to be the chair.
Yeah, we should add.
Very fine with being vice chair or no chair at all.
Anyone that accepts a nomination for chair.
How many vice chairs do we need?
There's two, but I mean, this whole year you haven't had a secretary.
That's true.
So, and some districts just have one vice chair. It just depends on how many people want to run. Keep in mind that as chair, you can delegate your duties to other people the entire year.
See, Tom?
Kind of nice to have two vice chairs so you can delegate more.
Yeah, that was helpful last week, actually.
Madam Chair, could the two vice chairs handle it?
Oh, that's.
We should have a chair.
I think it's better to have
Have a
one
chair.
person handle the
Right. If you want
responsibility
one
of it.
person doing the final decision.
Yeah, somebody just needs to own it.
What is the question right now? Is someone willing, are either of us willing to accept?
Yeah, are either of you, you've been nominated, do you accept the nomination as chair?
Sure. I'll accept the nomination.
Yes.
Okay, fine, then. Okay.
So now it's, do we want an election between Britton and Tom, or do one of you want to decide amongst yourselves who's going to be chair and who's going to be vice chair?
Sure. We can decide amongst ourselves. Do you have a preference?
Like immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, we have 20 minutes. Like we come out of this meeting.
Yes, right, yeah.
Tom, you've been doing it, you've been in the issues a long time and you know what's going on in it.
And it's true.
Fine.
I'm
happy to-
You know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I don't, I'm acting like I don't like it now, but I'll put on a show for this year. Really.
Okay,
I'm happy to be one of the vice chairs.
vice chair.
I like that, yes.
Okay. Anyone else that wants to be vice chair?
I'm willing to continue as a vice chair if there's needed a
Laura
second.
mentioned that she would possibly.
Laura can too. I have
I'm
no
not.
problem with that.
I'm
whatsoever.
not attached.
I just know that having two deep was very good this last week when when the chair and one of the vice chairs were not able to go. It was nice to have another person. Or can that just be delegated to someone else?
Always delegate. A lot of times the chair will delegate being the spokesperson to whoever is over that neighborhood.
Right, that's been very useful in the past.
So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily have to be the vice chair.
Perfect.
So Soraya and Britton for vice chair.
Or Laura.
Laura
I'm also
as
okay with
vice
Laura.
chair, or go on.
There's a bunch of us who are just willing to help if there's a need, but aren't too worried about being in a position.
Anyone for secretary? That's mostly someone that can review the minutes to make sure they're correct. So that's something you can just do from home.
I'll be the secretary.
My name is secretary. Okay, so do we have, okay, so let's do like a vote of approval from the residents. If you approve Tom as chair, Britton as vice chair, Soraya as vice chair, and Laura as secretary, can I have you raise your hands? And then anyone opposed? Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome.
With great.
I want to nominate.
All right, well, so, yeah.
If you don't want to say.
Well, it says on here in report, this will be extremely short because it's very little report, but Laura and I did meet with the mayor and Chief Beebe, the police chief, and Scott Henderson, our the chief administrative officer, mayor's office. Just kind of the follow-up about the issues we discussed in our last meeting in December about noise and noise enforcement and that sort of stuff. And it was a nice meeting and there was a lot of listening and a lot of kind of affirmative understanding responses. It's a little hard to say what was committed to. So kind of remains to be seen, but there were, something clarified and Yeah, I mean, it's a fact that a lot of times, like, when if there's a noise disturbance and you call, there's a big loud party or something like that, and a lot of times, the, dispatch will say, we'll just call back after 10. Which is sort of suggests there's no such thing as a noise violation before 10 p.m. And so I got police, Chief Beebe, confirmed without qualification of any sort that makes no sense. There is no such thing as call back after 10 a.m. We don't care before then. That's not real. That doesn't reflect his position in any way, shape, or form. So we encouraged him to sort of, because this has happened many times and happened as recently. I know one case happened as recently as January. So encouraged him to sort of I don't know, train his people or something like that. I can't really report on what there wasn't anything exact committed to be done there, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. That was one issue. And there was also, they're gonna change, like, when people report more slowly, people are reporting more noise violations and things over like the app and stuff, because we like apps. But that just went into a black hole. It had no impact of any sort whatsoever. And that was understood and acknowledged, and they committed to change it. So when you go to the web portal, you go to the app, and there's about a noise, and it just tells you call. It just says call the non-emergency police number, and that's the way to do that. So that'll be one thing that was committed that was helpful. I'm not sure. Yeah, there were a lot of other issues touched on, but it was a little hard to tell afterwards what maybe was going to happen or not going to happen. I don't know, does that sound all right? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my takeaway was that certainly, like, you can call for a noise violation before 10 p.m. and you should call that on emergency number. I think a lot of people will call for 1-1. But if it's after hours, then it also. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in 311. But if the 311, if it's not between like 9 and 6, or is it just 9 and 5? You call a non-emergency police number, and they're totally cool with that. It's the appropriate place to report a noise violation.
The only other thing, this might not affect a lot of people, but there was tremendous confusion about permits, event permits and noise permits, and the relationship between them and how the police are actually enforcing on those issues. And on so some of that was clarified. An event permit does not provide an exemption to the noise ordinance, and even basically all the police officers don't know that, didn't understand that, but that was clarified. So there's some things, there's some places with some larger apartments where that's an issue. They apply for an event permit, and then they think that means that they can make any amount of noise till pretty much any hour. That's extremely completely untrue, and Chief Beebe confirmed that, and so that was clarified. But again, we'll see what that translates to. I think that's pretty much all that I have to report on that.
Can I bring up?
Oh, already? Okay. Oh, yes. Sure, we can have a question on that. We'll start here and then
Yeah, as part of this deck that gets sent out, distributed,
Yes.
post what the noise ordinance is and where we find that in.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That would be helpful.
If you just, I'll tell you right now, remember the number 9.6. That's the part in the city code that gives it all. But yes, we can absolutely put it in there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Abinadi stood up and talked about rentals. This is really sided with the tenants. And the landlords are the ones that pay so that they can come here to the city. They pay for their schooling, they pay for their city and everything else. And we need to have this both sides, because I have tenants that vape. I have tenants that are loud after 10 o'clock. What do? You know what I mean? So this needs to be both sides. And I think, you're the man that could look at this instead of just having it, for the tenants.
Why don't we talk with you and me and if he's still here after. All right. Yeah, I would do that.
Yes, there's been.
Yes, please.
Just wanted to make a recommendation.
Yes.
For calling the non-emergency line, or before you ever need to call the non-emergency line, get to know your neighbors, please. As someone who's experienced like trauma with law enforcement, someone called the police on my family. We live on the second floor and it was Christmas break and I was playing with my son. And someone sent police to my door. And in this political climate and for who I am and my personal experiences, that ruined Christmas break. So get to know your neighbors. I later like went upstairs and downstairs and I was like, they didn't tell me who like complained, but I gave them a letter with like, here's my phone number.
Yeah.
Here's who we are.
That's great.
Anytime you can come and knock on our door. Just knock.
Yeah, but no, that's absolutely true. I couldn't agree more. There are, yeah,
If you don't
and
want
there are cases where, especially with larger parties, things like that, it's just kind of a mob reaction where they just sort of ignore you. So there's a lot of situations, but I couldn't agree more, that especially when somebody lives right next to you. That's a great way to go. Sure. Okay. All right, well, if there's no other questions about that, then I guess we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.